sometimes people don't understand the requirements that are required by the FMCSA. So a CDL setup requirement. So typically a non-CDL, and we'll talk about the non-CDL. So a non-CDL is a truck that has a gross vehicle weight rating of 26,000 vehicle weight rating. And this is typically you'll see maybe a box truck, a hot shot, and we'll talk about the different types. But more importantly, anything that's 26,000 gross vehicle weight rating does not require a CDL setup. If it's 26,001, this includes the freight. You want to make sure that the truck and the fuel is in the truck to determine the actual gross vehicle weight rating. You can also look on the side of the driver's side door to determine if it is whatever their actual unladen weight. That means that the weight without any freight, without anything else, just that part, and it will tell you what it is. Then you can actually determine, okay, should I be a 26,000 gross vehicle weight rating or 26,001? If you have something that is, let's say your door, on the side of your door, it shows 12,000, and then you actually have a trailer that is connected to that, whether it be hot shot or whether it be a box truck, maybe you have a reefer box truck, then you want to also look at the actual gross vehicle weight rating on the driver's side door and the inside of the door. This is going to tell you what the weight is. That's going to determine if you need a CDL setup. If you need a CDL setup, do not try to, skirt around that. Just set the process up the correct way. All right, you have different types of setup. You have a hot shot setup. This is typically a dually truck with a maybe gooseneck trailer, and it may have dovetail, the dovetail gate on the back that allows you to be able to bring vehicles and things up the ramp. You'll have a box truck setup, whether it be just a regular box truck or whether it be a reefer box truck. So the determination of whether you need a CDL setup or just a non-CDL setup is going to be determined by the actual gross vehicle weight rating. So like I said, you're going to look in the side of your driver's side door to determine the actual unladen weight. And this is going to tell you if it's, again, let's say that you have the weight close to 20,000, and then that let's say your weight is 20,000, then 9 times out of 10, you're probably going to fall in that, because again, your weight, because if it's anything less than 26,000, or let's say it's 20,000 in the door, but you are wanting to put on 20,000 in weight of freight, then that means that you're going to be over the limit, and that's going to put you way over. And that means that you should have a CDL setup. What you don't want to have happen is you over the road and you are supposed to be set up like a CDL and you just kind of skirting around it because you don't want to pay all the money. Then what it's going to do is cause you to have fines with the DOT. So you don't want that problem. So it's just better to just check your door, check the side of the door to see what your gross vehicle weight rating is. And then if it is, let's say it's 20,000, and then you put some freight on there and you are at 26,200, then you know that you need a CDL setup. That also means that your driver that is driving that vehicle should have a CDL. If they do not, and that's not just the CDL class B, that's the CDL class A. So you want to make sure that you understand that part as well. If you typically have a semi truck, that's always going to be a CDL class A setup. It's not going to be a CDL B class setup. You want to make sure that all your drivers, if you are going to do anything, just get you a class A driver. That way, you kind of cover all your bases. If it is a non-CDL, which it means that your truck and your freight is 26,000 gross vehicle weight rating only, that's between truck, trailer, and your freight, then basically that's going to determine if it's non-CDL or not. You also want to consider, and I'm just kind of doing a teachable moment as well, if you will. You want to also consider, are you going to go across state lines? So that means that, are you going to be interstate? Interstate means that you're going to actually go from Georgia to Texas to Louisiana or wherever you decide to go. Or you want to be intrastate. Intrastate means that you're going to actually be in that particular state that you set up. So if you're from Georgia, that means that you're only going to be in Georgia. You're not going to Texas. You're not going to Chicago and nowhere else. That's intra. I-N-T-R-A. Inter, I-N-T-E-R, means that you're going to go across state lines. So that means that you're going to have a different setup than your normal situation. Okay. The other thing you want to know is if you're looking to set up a freight brokerage, with the freight brokerage, there are some things that you have to do as well, just like the carrier does, which is like a hot shot setup or a box truck, semi truck. You actually need a motor carrier number, and we'll talk about that in a few minutes. But with the freight brokerage setup, we also set up freight brokerages. So if you're looking to get into the freight brokerage industry and you're not for sure how to get in there, we actually help you to go through the entire process to set up your brokerage, and that way you can be successful and compliant with that as well.